I'd like to call to order the Westmont Village Board meeting of March 20th, 2025, to order at 6:05 PM, and ask Clerk Simsky for roll call, please.
Sure. Mayor Gunter.
Here.
Clerk Simsky, here. Trustee Barry.
Here.
Trustee Barker.
Here.
Trustee Guzzo.
Here.
Trustee Little. Here. Trustee Nero.
Here.
Trustee Scales.
Here.
Attorney Zemanek.
Here.
Village Manager May.
Here.
And Assistant Village Manager Parker.
Here. Would everybody please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to thank everyone and welcome them. The first item, as always, is our open forum. It's an opportunity for someone to voice an opinion or a comment from something not on the agenda. There's none, and seeing none, I will close open forum and move on to reports. Mine's the first report, and the Sister City update. I'll give you a quick update. Our Economic Development Director, Larry Forsberg, and Police Chief Jim Gunther, who will be our village manager, are currently in Taiwan as guests of the Taiwanese government to attend the Smart Cities Conference, as well as part of the numerous Sister City programs. We look forward to getting a report from them regarding their trip. We had a teleconference on Tuesday night at 10:30, 11 o'clock here, which was like noon there. They were going out to lunch. And they're representing us extremely well. They're learning a lot. Our Sister City program is strong. So I just want to make mention of that. And
they're planning on coming this week.
yes, they're going to visit us. And like Trustee Addington used to say, make sure you vote. He also encouraged everybody to make sure you go out on a week from Tuesday, right? April 1st is the election, so municipal election. Make sure you go out and vote. Clerk Simsky.
Thank you, Mayor. On that note, we have the April 1st consolidated election, so in-person early voting has begun. More information can be found on both the Village of Westmont and the DuPage County website. If you'd like to go early vote, the Westmont Library is a location. And then we have a couple dates where the offices are closed. We have Good Friday, April 18th, and then Memorial Day, May 26th. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Nero, you got Public Works Committee.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a quick recap from tonight's meeting. Our next meeting will be June 26th. But we talked about a few things, a couple of highlights. We talked about fleet services. We're working on sharing services with neighboring communities, potentially Oak Brook, Clarendon Hills, maybe some others. We'll see what happens there, but that's a great use of our facility and staff if we can work out all the kinks. Also talked about a civic organization signage for all our nonprofit organizations in towns, Rotary, Lions, et cetera. Expect more to come from that, but we're looking at maybe a downtown location where those clubs can put up a sign of their club and highlight it in the downtown. So kind of neat. You might see those in other communities, and pretty cool program. So more to come. It's a little more complex than you'd think, but we'll get there. And then the big news is we celebrated our Employee of the Year for Public Works. Mike Buser is our water operator. The rumor is he came from the parks. The mayor groomed him, and now he's one heck of an employee here for the village, and we're proud to have him here. So we appreciate all his efforts. And we also had a service award for Frank Coolis Jr., 25 years of service, so we commend him for his dedication and appreciate all his efforts here in the town. And last but not least, the team prepared an annual report for the department. A ton of information on there. I'm sure it'll be on the website if you want to check it out, but it's just amazing to see what that team does for us day in and day out. A lot of it you don't even realize, but heck of an organization, and we appreciate everything that they do. And I think I have a couple more items, Mayor. Tree seedling giveaway, again, is sign up to select which seedling you want, and then you can pick them up on Arbor Day, which is April 25th, so sign up is online. You pick them up at the library in the afternoon. And there's still some planters available for Adopt a Planter. It's online on our website. Check it out. You got to sign up to reserve your spot. And quick construction updates. There's, again, a new press release that lists upcoming construction projects. That's available on the line. Construction on the Lincoln and 41st Street Water Main Extension Project is scheduled to begin on Monday, weather permitting. And last but not least, just wanted to congratulate the junior high school. Last night was their Pizza Wars fundraiser, and even with the crazy weather in the beginning, the place was packed. I thought they did a great job, so. And that's all I have, sir. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Well, Trustee Barry, Police Public Safety Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Our next meeting will be June 12th. The police do have a few events coming up. They have a paper shred event, April 19th. This is going to benefit the Special Olympics. The event will be April 19th from 9 a.m. to noon. There's more information on their website. The idea there is you bring your items that you want shredded and then give a donation. Don't do like I did the first year and just bring things and not donate. Okay, I didn't realize it was a two-step process. And then they also have a drug take-back day, April 26th. You're to drop off your unwanted prescription drugs on April 26th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Mariano's and Westmont Police Department Station 500 North Cass. And again, they're not to be thrown away, they're not to be flushed. This is the safest way to give them back is at the drug take-back days. And again, April 26th. We also have one of their fundraisers coming up for Special Olympics is Cop on a Rooftop. That's May 16th. And I believe we will be at both of our Duncan locations on Ogden Avenue and also on 63rd. I think almost everybody in town tries to hit these. Just a great event. And I know I have T-shirts and cups from just about every one of them. So thank you guys, and thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Well, thank you. Trustee Scales, Community Development Chair.
Thank you, Mayor. The next Community Development Committee is scheduled for April 17th. The Planning and Zoning Commission regular meeting on April 9th is canceled. However, there is a special meeting that will take place on either April 16th or potentially April 23rd, which will replace that April 9th meeting and begin the presentation and discussion of the long-anticipated zoning ordinance updates. That's it.
Well, thank you. Trustee Johanna Guzzo, Fire Public Safety.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There will be a special meeting of the Fire Public Safety Committee here next week, the 27th at 4:30, to discuss possible options for a new fire station or remodeling what we have. Everyone is invited to attend. And I do want to remind everyone, the Knights of Columbus is doing their Lenten Fish Fry every Friday, 5 to 8, 25 North Cass Avenue. Come on out, it's a great time. Support our Knights of Columbus. And thank you, that's all I have.
Thank you. Trustee Barker, we got Environmental Improvement Committee.
Thank you, Mayor. The next Environmental Improvement Committee meeting is scheduled for April 7th at the Westmont Public Library. We also have coming up in 2025 the electronics, recycling, and more dates. There is one coming up on the 5th of April, and that's out here in the commuter lot in front of Village Hall, and there's information for that on the village website. At the EIC meeting on April 7th, we have a guest speaker, and that guest speaker is talking about native plants. And then on May 5th, we have a presentation on solar power, and those are two outstanding opportunities to go and learn more about environmental things and how you can make a difference, right? And then we have the Protect Our Pollinator program again this year. That's the NOMO expanded into this Protect Our Pollinators. And a sign up is on the village website. And residents are encouraged to do that and consider planting native plants on their private property so as to provide additional habitat for pollinators. And we encourage everybody to do that. It's been successful, the last several years that we've done it, and now we're improving that, to make a greater impact. That is all. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And Trustee Little, Administrative and Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mayor. Our next Administration Finance Committee meeting will be April the 3rd, 4:30, right here in Village Hall. Spring window murals. Businesses are invited to sign up and have their windows painted by a local artist for the spring. Visit the westmontevents.com for more information. Community News Magazine has been mailed to every individual in the village. It's currently out, the new current issue is out, and everybody gets one. A digital copy is also posted on the village website. And then we lost a very dear friend. Sam Alonzo passed away last weekend. Sam was active in the community as a business person, a member of the chamber, and was extremely involved in Westmont special events, serving as president for 4 years. He is the person who is credited with bringing casket races to Westmont. We'll miss him greatly. And I know Sam would want me to remind you, there's only 11 more weeks till cruise night starts up. That's all I have. Thank you, Mayor.
Did you have any services, or it's already been?
The wake is from 3 to 9 today, and services will be tomorrow morning.
In Forest Park? Hillside? Yeah.
Hillside.
Yeah, he and his daughter runs a dance studio
studio.
in town, very popular. Well, sad news, thank you. Moving on, public hearing. A public hearing for the 1/1/25 to 12/31/25 appropriations ordinance for the Village of Westmont. Before I open that up, it's, we need to conduct a public hearing, but I'm going to ask Finance Director Altick to give us some information before I open that.
Thank you. So the village code, in the village code, the Village of Westmont operates under the appropriations ordinance system. As such, the village must adopt an annual appropriations ordinance reflecting what may be expended by the village this fiscal year 2025 by the end of the first quarter, which is here by the end of March. The village has also chosen to adopt an annual budget, which is the village's spending plan and what village staff holds itself accountable for day in and day out. Usually the board would have already approved the budget for 2025 probably a few months ago, but with this transition from our fiscal year end to being from April 30th to December 31st, the village passed a 20-month budget, which included 2025, back, I believe it was in May of 2024. So the total appropriation sought for approval later on tonight under new business totals $135,991,278 and is inclusive of the Westmont Library, which represents $3,544,180, as well as both the police and fire pension funds, which totals $7,179,500. The village's specific portion is spread out amongst the village's 16 funds and totals $125,267,598. In no way does this appropriations ordinance circumvent or cancel out any of the village's internal controls, best practices, or policies on spending or procurement. Certain projects will still need to be bid out. The village board will still approve purchases over $25,000, and the village's internal controls over approvals and authorizations, all of that still holds true. Last thing I want to say is that the appropriations ordinance and budget for this calendar year 2025 provides the same level of quality service offerings as in prior years in support of many great community events like Cruise and Nights, Taste of Westmont, just to name a couple. It's also very capital intensive with 54 projects valued at over $28 million.
And I'll open it, before I open it, it's a reminder, you mentioned it before, we've gone to our fiscal year change from May 1 to April 30th to January 1. So it's a little different. We've been trying to catch up. So at this point, I'll open it for public hearing. Anybody got any questions? Seeing none, then I close public hearing, and I guess that'll be later on the agenda then.
Under new business, yes.
Okay. Moving on, items to be removed from the consent agenda. Does any board member see anything they'd like removed? If not, I'd ask Manager May to please read.
This evening on the consent agenda begins, as always, with village board minutes. Board to consider approving the minutes of the village board meeting held March 6, 2025. That's followed by finance ordinance number 6 in the aggregate amount of $1,593,835.52. There is one purchase order, Tyler Technologies, $34,728.75. This is for the EnerGov Assist Complete. It's the renewal of our special support services for the enterprise permitting and licensing system. It's all budgeted. Next is the January Monthly treasurer's report, board to consider a motion to accept the monthly financial report submitted for the month of January 2025. And lastly is the 2025 resolution supporting the Mayor's Monarch Pledge. Board to accept the resolution to support that pledge. The background on this is it's something we do annually, recommended and supported by Environmental Improvement Committee, but it's also in conjunction with the National Wildlife Federation, the Conservation Foundation, and the DuPage Monarch Project, working together to protect pollinators. And that's the consent agenda this evening.
Do I have a motion to approve as read?
Motion to approve is read. Little?
Second, Scales.
Ooh, he said his name first. Got it. Yeah. Motion been made and second. Any comments? Trustee Barker.
Mayor, I just wanted to say, as chairman of the Environmental Improvement Committee, we had talked about this years ago when this came around, or to my recollection, right, that you would sign on to these things only if we acted on them, so it's not just a paper thing.
No.
On behalf of the committee, thank you for supporting these environmental issues.
Yeah, thank the board for supporting it with me.
Yeah, well, of course, right?
Yeah, EIC for bringing it up, so.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Roll call, please.
Trustee Little?
Yes.
Trustee Scales?
Yes.
Trustee Nero?
Yes.
Trustee Barker?
Yes.
Trustee Barry?
Yes.
Trustee Guzzo?
Yes.
Motion passes. We move on to new business. It's Mayor's Planning and Zoning Commissioner appointment. Board to consider a motion confirming my appointment of Connor Donahue to fill the open Planning and Zoning Commissioner's position. And I think Mr. Donahue's here tonight. If you want to come up and introduce yourself and give us some background information about you before they decide.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Board, for having me tonight. My name's Connor Donahue. Professionally, I'm a vice president of an IT consulting firm. I've been doing that for roughly 15 years. Personally, I live in Westmont. I've lived in Westmont 10 years to the month. Born and raised in Downers Grove. My wife, Melissa, is on the library board. And, ultimately, I'd like to get more involved in the community. I've known Steve for several years now, and we've been going back and forth and, finally came up with a position that I'm interested in and interested in helping out and with his guidance. So thank you for having me here tonight, and I'm happy to answer any questions that any of you have.
I mean, we
Talk about the process.
the process is, and I've been doing this ever since I became mayor, is I have the team interview him, which is Doug Carmichael, who's the chair of P&Z, staff, Joe's been involved, and the manager, all meet you and get a chance to ask you questions, and then we decide as a group who we would like to have fill that position, and I couldn't ask for better. He's wants to get involved, and he's excited about filling that position. So if no one has a question, I do need a motion to appoint my appointment.
Motion to approve, Nero.
Second, Scales.
Motion made, second. Any questions? I'm looking around, none. Roll call.
Trustee Nero?
Yes.
Trustee Scales?
Yes.
Trustee Barker?
Yes.
Trustee Barry?
Yes.
Trustee Guzzo?
Yes.
Trustee Little?
Yes.
And congratulations, welcome. You see the 2 meetings in April, right? Zoning, Joe?
Got work to do.
Yeah, it's got work to do. Get busy. So, all right. Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you
At
so
that
much
time,
for
you would be
your service,
sworn
Connor.
in.
You'll be sworn
We
in
both
then.
served there before, and, it's such an important part of what the board does. So really, thank you for serving, and good luck with it.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to it.
And we let Mr. Carmichael there give you the official swearing in at the next P and Z meeting.
Sounds
So
great.
thank you. Thank you
Thank you,
for wanting
everybody.
to serve. Thank you. New business B, appropriation ordinance for the village's fiscal year, 1/1/25 to 12/31/25. Board to consider ordinance adopting 1/1/25 to 12/31/25 fiscal year appropriation ordinance, which of course is now with the calendar year from the May 1 to April 30th fiscal year in the past, and I got Finance Director Alter.
Thank you, Mayor. So earlier tonight, just a few minutes ago, the village held a public hearing surrounding the passing of the appropriations ordinance. Once again, the total appropriations software approval tonight totals $135,991,270, which is also inclusive, once again, of the Westmont Public Library, as well as the village's two pension funds, the police and fire pension fund. Anyone has any questions, be love to answer those now.
Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve, Little?
Second, Parker.
Motion made and second. Comments? Anybody? I look around, nobody? Then roll call, please.
Okay, Trustee Little?
Yes.
Trustee Barker?
Yes.
Trustee Barry?
Yes.
Trustee Guzzo?
Yes.
Trustee Nero?
Yes.
Trustee Scales?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes. New business C, award a bid proposal, Washington and Traube Infrastructure Improvements. Board to consider an ordinance awarding the bid to Performance Construction and Engineering, LLC, for the Washington and Traube Infrastructure Improvement Project in the amount of $6,565,713 and authorizing a construction contract consistent with the bid documents. I got Director Reese.
So we accepted responsive bids from 3 contractors for this. There was an additional bid that was deemed non-responsive after consultation with Attorney Zemanek. The 3 bids that were received, there was a low bid from Performance Construction and Engineering LLC with a low bid of $6,568,713. This is approximately 0.75% higher than the engineer's estimate. Brian went through this a little bit at the committee meeting. This project will include water main replacement on Washington Street from Naperville to Ogden and a small portion on Traube adjacent to the school. Storm sewer installation on Traube and Grant, some curb and gutter, sidewalk, asphalt paving, pavement markings, and landscape restoration. This project will be coordinated so that the portions that are adjacent to the school will be completed during the summer when school is not in session. Take any questions you might have.
I think we covered it. Trustee Barry?
Have we used Performance Construction and Engineering before?
I have not worked with them, but Baxter and Woodman has checked their references and they were satisfactory.
Thank you.
Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve, Little?
Second, Guzzo.
Motion made and second. Comments? Roll call, please.
Trustee Little?
Yes.
Trustee Guzzo?
Yes.
Trustee Barry?
Yes.
Trustee Barker?
Yes.
Trustee Scales?
Yes.
Trustee Nero?
Yes.
Motion passes. We'll move on to new business D, non-home rule municipal occupational tax and a non-home rule municipal service tax. Board to consider ordinance imposing an additional non-home rule municipal tax and a non-home rule municipal service tax. Director Alter.
Thank you, Mayor. Before the board tonight is an authorizing ordinance to increase the village's non-home rule sales tax from a current standing of 0.5% to a full 1%. Recent legislation authorizes non-home rule communities to implement such a tax simply by an authorizing ordinance up to the 1% mark. This tax will be in effect starting July 1st, 2025. Finance estimates that the financial impact to the village is a little more than $1 million every 6 months. As outlined in the ordinance and is required by state law, tax receipts that the village receives for this tax is to be used for capital and related infrastructure needs of the village. If there's any questions, I can take those now.
I think we discussed this. I motion to approve.
Motion to approve, Guzzo.
Second, Little?
Motion made and second. Comments? Trustee Barker.
I'm just wondering if we should talk a little bit about why this is an option, right? And I'm going to defer to Mr. Parker on, or somebody on staff to, options and why there's a need, right? Who's the best person, right? It's not me, right?
Yeah, I can talk about it on some level. So
Absolutely.
at a recent committee meeting, we talked about the potential fire station project, and some of those estimates are coming in, anywhere from $22 to $25 million for a new fire station. This would certainly provide the level of money to be able to pay a debt service for that type of scale of project. But even just beyond that, when we look kind of down the 5-year horizon at some of the projects in Public Works, and this isn't even all the projects off the top of my head. This is just some of the projects for like roadway maintenance, storm sewer, alley work. I'm sure I'm missing some stuff in there. But those estimates, from now until like 2030, 2031, are looking like could be $27 million on those types of projects. And so this is, just forgetting the fire station project, this would provide a lot of money to be able to go towards those types of projects, down the road.
So then, but then also key to this is if there's a tax collected here, it's not on all the backs of the residents, right?
It's a user fee.
That's
It's a
correct.
user fee.
Yeah, so anybody, who comes into Westmont and buys a product at this Micro Center, to name an example, anybody is subject to this tax. They could be from Downers Grove, they could be from, the state of Ohio, they could be from anywhere.
Right.
So it's not just Westmont residents who would be subject to this
Very
tax.
similar to our stormwater sales tax, that passed that referendum because of that, I think. And, hey, that's a big expense, it's something we need, this is, instead of on the backs of just the residents, this shares it from folks that come into town too, so.
There's only a few choices, right? It's not like we could do whatever we want.
Right.
That's right.
So,
Yeah, and it's capped at 1%, and it's similar to what surrounding communities charge.
Yeah, because we just received that authority from the state to go up to 1 cent non-home rule. Non-home rule community could not do that a year ago.
Yeah, that'll change at some point last year. There was some legislation that changed at the state level just
We
last
have
year.
a lot of capital needs, so it's a good source of revenue.
yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I have a quick question. Is
Yeah.
it different than the grocery tax that we just talked about a couple of
Yes.
meetings ago? It is different.
Yes.
So it's a sales tax?
Yes.
Okay.
And again, years ago, we were at 1% when we were home rule, and this, again,
That's
what I.
the key, this little
Yeah.
window is for non-home rule.
Yeah, and what I like about it is for capital, so it's not gonna go for any salaries, it's gonna go to help improve the infrastructure of the community, so.
Yeah, and that's something I think we gotta chat about in the future, and just the extra over potential fire, what are we doing with it? I know we talked about alleys and other big expenses, this is a perfect opportunity to do a lot more at a pretty quick pace.
Otherwise, you fall behind.
Otherwise, yeah, and we got a lot to do.
Seeing no other questions, roll call, please.
Trustee Guzzo?
Yes.
Trustee Little?
Yes.
Trustee Nero?
Yes.
Trustee Scales?
Yes.
Trustee Barker?
Yes.
Trustee Barry?
No.
Motion passes. New business E, reapprove amended tree regulations. Board to consider ordinance reapproving comprehensive text amendments to Chapter 80 and Chapter 86 of the Westmont Code of Ordinances regarding trees and landscaping. I guess I'm going to turn to Attorney Zemanek.
Yep, thanks.
Give us information.
The village board approved these comprehensive amendments last year based on amendments that were drafted by interim community development director Doug Pollock, with input from John Yater and others on staff. And there was a red line edited version that was included in your agenda packet that you voted on based on those drafted amendments. When I went to convert those into an ordinance form, I noticed there were certain edits that weren't tracked in red that had been made, that there were numerous formatting errors, some word usage errors that needed to be corrected, as well as some of the penalty provisions that were amended didn't quite comply with Illinois law, exceeded the village's authority to assess penalties. So it took me a while, but I cleaned all of that up. I'm presenting it to you for reapproval. There's no substantive changes to the amendments that were previously approved except to the penalty provisions.
A motion?
Motion to approve, Barry?
Second, Nero.
Motion made and second. Any comments, trustees, audience? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Trustee Barry?
Yes.
Trustee Nero?
Yes.
Trustee Barker?
Yes.
Trustee Guzzo?
Yes.
Trustee Little?
Yes.
Trustee Scales?
Yes.
Motion passes. We'll move on. Miscellaneous. Anybody have anything they'd like to? Seeing none, then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. We do not have an executive session tonight, so.
Motion to adjourn, Nero.
Second, Little?
Motion been made and second to adjourn. Roll call, please.
Trustee Nero.
Yes.
Trustee Little.
Yes.
Trustee Scales.
Yes.
Trustee Barker.
Yes.
Trustee Barry.
Yes.
Trustee Guzzo.
Yes.
And thank you for coming. This meeting is adjourned.